there was a campaign to stop the Kita Multa helmets, and it was something that we included in our manifesto 2011 because we thought it was something which was extremely important. It came to the forefront following an accident that we saw along Waterport Road. There was a young girl riding a motorbike who actually fell off the motorbike, and apparently she kept her hand on the accelerator while she was braking. So the injuries were quite terrible, and the fact that she had a Kita Multa helmet, one of those half helmets, meant that her facial injuries were far worse than they could have been had she been wearing a full face helmet. You recall back only 4 years ago, if you wanted to drive a motorbike in Gibraltar, you went down to the MOT. If you're 17 years old, you went down to the MOT, pay you £5, you get your yellow learner's license, and off you went. And what happens now is that from the age of 16 and a half, so they can actually go and take their first part of the course, which is the theory test, and they're taught the basics of the highway code. Once they pass that component, they can go and do their off-road course, and so that is where they start gaining their skills on motorbike use. Then they go out on the street, but they don't go out on the street on their own. Once again, they're followed by an instructor, by an examiner, an audio link between them. They're guided throughout, and then once they pass that third component, then they're allowed to go on the street. So the safety is a hundredfold. The improvement is incredible. Parents are ecstatic. Parents are extremely happy. The feedback is really positive. It gives parents a sense of well-being, of peace, of comfort, knowing that their child is learning how to ride a motorbike properly. They don't have to do it, and it just adds to the safety of being out there on our roads. Speed cameras, there was a big push for speed cameras recently, and I think it's something which is crucial. The police can't be everywhere. They have campaigns, have speed campaigns, and you do see them with their mobile speed cameras, but they can't tackle every single area. So this will complement what they've got already. We've placed them in 4 different locations. We have them on Rose Road, Waterport Road, Europa Advanced Road, and Devil's Tower Road, which are the roads that we feel and the police feel are the ones that most need them. I think it's extremely important that we keep our roads safe, and this is a good way of doing so. The residence parking scheme is something which many people have requested. The feedback of the traffic plan was that many people thought it was a good idea. In Glasses, we piloted a visitors parking area, and that works well. People have their visitors permits. So what will happen in the next term, that there will be a residence parking scheme, because what happens now is that we have people coming through the border with foreign registered vehicles, and they're competing with us for our parking spaces. So it's unfair in that respect. There's a lot of work in Gibraltar. There's a lot of construction work. There's a lot of people that come in with their cars to work in Gibraltar, and they will use the parking spaces. This was something that we will look at. We will start rolling out next term. We'll be allowing people who are locals will be able to park for free, but people who are not locals will need to pay for their parking. The G-bike scheme was something that we inherited when we took office, and the bicycle sharing scheme is something which happens throughout the whole of Europe. In many cities you'll find bicycle rental schemes in London, in Barcelona, in Copenhagen, in Amsterdam, even in towns and cities in England. I've been to Reading, and Liverpool has them as well. As part of the traffic plan, what our intention is try to ask people, try to convince people and educate people to use other forms of transport, sustainable transport. What we will try to do is we will try, where possible, is to include bicycle lanes into the road infrastructure. So at the moment, the only stretch of road that has a bicycle lane in Gibraltar is that across a runway. Our plan of action is we're using the walls, so the actual Wellington front area. There will be a bicycle lane on that wall. That's part of that project. and and that bicycling will continue throughout towards the south. The problem we had with GB bikes is that the GB bike scheme failed, and it failed simply because the bicycles and the locking mechanisms didn't work adequately. There was a flaw in the locking mechanism. So many of these bikes could have actually be unlocked and snapped out of the locking mechanism just by giving a good tug. When we asked for spares weren't forthcoming. We couldn't. All the time took too long, and the company itself admitted that Gibraltar was their pilot scheme. So this was the first base that they were dealing with. And if you compare the GB bike, which we have the physical bicycle there available, to the new bicycle, it's chalk and cheese. The quality is completely different. We expect that most of the use will be from the frontier to places of work. One of the most popular routes was frontier to Waterport Place, frontier to Euroports, or the gaming companies. There's 120 different locking points. Apart from that, there's a system of lock. So as you take a bicycle out, the actual machine will give you a 4-digit PIN number for the manual lock. So should you come to a station where they're all completely full, then you can tie it to a lamppost, and and that will be fine. The bicycles, it's all linked to back office, so you know exactly where the bicycles are and how many locking stations are in use and how many locking stations are not in use. If it's a success, and I don't see why it shouldn't be a success, then we will be thinking of perhaps extending and increasing the number of bicycles and stations. Gibraltar is no longer the place it was 4 years ago. We have new schools, we have a university, we have things that were totally unimaginable 4 years back. We have built the strongest foundations that we can for our children and for their future. So it's only by voting back a Gslp Liberal government that we'll be able to continue building these strong foundations for you.